Hello and welcome to a new video and a brand new year at that. And today we're going to talk about my Christmas haul from 2023, which I think was very fitting because I just did a video about the first Christmases that I could possibly remember from as far back as probably like the year 2000. I'm not really sure, but we're going to go with that number. So I'm just going to show the stuff that's relevant to this channel because this channel covers games, movies, music, Star Wars books, sometimes food. But, I got some other stuff that doesn't count, like a blow dart gun. That I might show that eventually, but, for now, we're going to hold off on that. So the first category is games, and I got only two games, but they're two games that were definitely pretty high on my list of things that I definitely wanted to buy relatively soon. And the first one is Kirby and the Forgotten Land. Now, this to me is kind of like Mario Odyssey and Kirby kind of put together, because it's more Earth, it shows him like sucking up a car, which kind of Mario Odyssey when he went to New Donk City, it was pretty much with people, and it didn't fit in with the normal, like Kirby's Dreamland world and Mario's Mushroom Kingdom. It was more like they came to Earth. So I have yet to play it, but we're going to look into that in just a little bit. The other game I got, which is for a system I haven't bought a game for in quite some time, and that is Billy Hatcher and the Giant Egg. Now, yes, I just talked about this in the last video, saying how on that demo disc I had played Splinter Cell, Beautiful Joe, I forget what the other, Sonic DX, but I never bought Billy Hatcher, and that's because this game got expensive. By the time I was actually collecting games, I had forgotten this existed. For years, I forgot this existed. And then I went to buy it, and it was just too much for me. And GameCube isn't one where you can get repros for very easy. It's possible, but it's not easy. So I kind of said, well, maybe someday. Well, I got it for Christmas now, and I'm very excited to play this all the way through. When I popped it into my GameCube, I realized that the GameCube stopped working. The laser couldn't read anything. Like, I started pulling discs, like, in perfect condition, discs I've had since when I got the GameCube. Couldn't read a thing. So I did the little adjustment you do to the potentiometer, and it started reading games again, but I know that does mean the laser's probably going to die. They are cheap, so maybe when it comes time, I'll do a video on how to replace them. The next thing, didn't get any movies, but related to my theater, which is where I filmed all of my Star Wars videos, I got some Star Wars books. So let me pull them out from over here. And I got the full set of the Old Republic books. It starts with Revan, and it goes to Annihilation. And yes, they aren't of the same series, but I don't care. Nothing I have over there matches anyway, so this fits in perfectly. Then I have Fatal Alliance, and then the last one, which was Deceived. So some of these are hardcover, some of them are obviously paperback. But I've always wanted to get into the Old Republic. I do have Knights of the Old Republic, both of the original games on the Xbox. Actually, I think the second one I have is on PC. I have to check that. It's over here somewhere. But yeah, I don't know. Should you do the books, then the games, or the games and the books? I did play the MMO very briefly. I'm not really into MMOs anymore. RuneScape was the only one I ever really got into. But that's another subject for another day. Moving on from books and the theater in general, is we'll talk about some music stuff here. Now we're going to go first with the records I got, just because this will be quicker. I got Her Majesty from the Decemberists. This was from a Secret Santa exchange at work. I had never heard of them, but I put this on, and they're actually pretty good. It's kind of like a very early indie sort of style, where indie was very indie. People from Montana trying to sound like they're from Scotland, kind of indie. Not a bad thing. Definitely reminds me of when that music was coming out, and I was telling people that, hey, we should do a band that sounds like this. And why would anybody listen to that? Well, guess what? I was right. The other album I got was Janis Joplin's Greatest Hits. Now, Janis Joplin was from that time period of all the music that I really like, late era Beatles, the late era well, I wouldn't say late era, the psychedelic era Beach Boys, Pink Floyd, Black Sabbath, Led Zeppelin. It all kind of fits in with Janis Joplin. It's a pretty good record. It's got a lot of her big songs on it. She's not one I normally had listened to very much, but putting it on, I quite enjoyed the record. The other one that I got, which is another one off of my list of many things to get, was Sabbath, Bloody Sabbath. Now I've got the first three of the Ozzy records. I have Heaven and Hell from the Dio era, and then I have on cassette the Headless Cross from the Tony Martin era. I would like to get a full set of anything that has to do with Sabbath, including the Ozzy solo stuff and eventually the Dio stuff. I hear they're going to do a Tony Martin box set, which I don't care how much that is. I'm going to buy it and then cry about it later. But Sabbath Bloody Sabbath is a very good album. I opened it this way, and I'm looking at this, and this looks like a Queen album. Because just how colorful it was. I've never seen the back. I'd only ever seen the front. And then, yes, this is one of those, what they call them, gatefold albums. That it has the full band in it. So, very good album, very good record. It's the 180 gram vinyl, so it's, very full sound. Take it or leave. Some people like that stuff, some people don't. So, going on from there, regarding music-related items, I also got some instruments. Now, this might be the harder thing to show. I'm going to go off, first I'm going to do the one I'm not going to open the box, just because it took me a while to get it in the box. And that is a lap harp. Yeah, you can kind of hear it. It's mostly in tune now. It comes with music cards. You can see it on the back here. This thing, it's interesting. I tuned it, and it immediately went out of tune. So I tuned it, and it immediately went out of tune. And by the third time, it was mostly in tune, and I had some fun with it. But then I put it back in the box just to kind of, put it away for now, because I have more instruments to show you. The next one is something called a kalimba, which is one of these sort of boxes. And that's one where you just kind of flick the, your little keys or whatever you want to call it. This is something that I can sit there and just kind of mess with this for an hour and not realize an hour went by. So I thought I probably should put that on my Christmas list, and I got one, which I'm actually very happy about. The next thing, this one's going to be even harder to show. This is a cigar box guitar. It's a 3-string. It's tuned to an open tuning, which is D, G, D. I don't know if they're supposed to match. I have a feeling they're not. But I tuned these two to the same pitch of D. And you're supposed to play it with a slide. Now, I'm very bad at slide guitar, but I kind of figured out a little tune on this thing, I guess you could say. It's a very distant, sort of like, it reminds me of one of Black Sabbath's in-between instrumentals. That's not how it goes. But the one that's kind of, it's on Master of Reality. I can't remember the name of it. But it's one of his little instrumentals. But I thought it sounded like that. I know it's not, but whatever. The other instrument I got is one that I'd seen it many places. There's a guy on YouTube who kind of plays a bunch of random instruments, and he'll play like the ringtone from a Nokia or something on like every kind of like vibraphone, xylophone, metallophone, every kind of phone there is. And one of the ones he did was a stylophone, and I got one. Now this is the more modern stylophone. There is also the more classic stylophone, which even the Beatles used. Not on a record, but on the Get Back documentary, there was a scene of them where I know George was the one holding it, and they were messing around with it. The way this works is you have a pen, which is wired to the machine, and it's got like a conductive pad here with it. I don't know if you can see it. Kinda. It's got like a piano shape on it. And all you do, you just kind of, so what it can do outside of that, of course, you have a volume knob over here to make it louder. You have like a vibrato, so it has that sort of, the waviness like a vibrato. You have also your octave switch, so you can have it low. You can have it in the middle, which is where we started. Or you can have it in number 3, which is the higher octave. And you can play a bunch of stuff. There's also a tuning screw on the back. So if you like want it to change notes, you can turn it the other way. Let's see if I can do both at the same time here. It has quite a range to it. So yeah, this thing's very interesting. It's definitely, you play it like a piano, but you're doing it with one finger at a time because that's all you can do. But it's a very cool little instrument, and that kind of concludes my haul of related things from this year. And I'm going to do a whole video about this thing in depth because it's just that interesting to mess around with. I might do one on each one of these instruments. Who knows? Because they're all very interesting to mess around with. So I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next video.